2019, I purchased this house with a semi-finished basement. They had torn the carpet out due to water damage, painted the floor gray. We came in, fixed the foundation cracks, and then had to do something. So I threw down some loose lay vinyl that I had for another project, and that took care of the very uneven floor and the possibility of water, and then we moved on to the rest of the house. Fast forward to 2024, and it's time to revisit that basement floor. I knew it was uneven, but I wasn't prepared for just how uneven. So I worked with my laser, and I came up with this little diagram. The amount of self-leveler required to bring this basement to a completely flat state was going to be ridiculous. As well, it was going to submerge my basement bathroom under 1.5 inches of this concrete. So that went out the window, that plan. What I came up with was a hybrid method of filling in the most egregious spots and making the room slant from front to back in a mostly flat state, and hope for the best. And the biggest omission from the video is the countless hours I spent on the floor grinding all that paint off and removing the largest humps in the floor. Just last week, this is a completely finished basement. And what was wrong with it, you might ask? Well, the problem lies in the floor. The day we moved in, we had some loose lay vinyl tile and not a lot of time because we were going to work on the rest of the house, and we just said, the heck with it. It sticks nice and flat to this very wavy floor. Let's slap it down and be done with it. And for 3 years, it was fine. Until one day, I got restless. I finished a previous project and said, yep, I'm going to tear it all apart again and try to do something better. What is something better? I said I'm going to try to level it and put down either click vinyl or probably not laminate, but probably some thicker click vinyl and some sort of underlayment to make it warmer. And wow, what a mess it's turned into. The original plan was self-leveling the entire space. So I got to work with my little laser there and a little pole, and I went around the room and I said, well, if I want to level the whole room, I'm going to have a 3-inch drop at my bathroom door way over there. And I didn't want that, so I started looking at alternatives. And, well, there aren't any. So I decided to improvise and ignore all the online advice that you either level it dead flat or you deal with bouncy floors. So I'm out on a limb here. I have used self-leveler strategically over here after grinding down some very egregious humps. And it worked out rather well. I can put my 7-foot straight edge and have less than an eighth. Over 10 feet, it's more than an eighth, maybe less than a quarter, maybe. But it's close. But I think the primary thing is it's mostly flat-ish. There's no abrupt, 1 inch, quarter inch drop-offs. So I'm thinking, and tests are showing that somewhat bendy click vinyl doesn't mind a gradual slope up and down and over. So this is the theory I'm working on. Correct or not, this is what I'm doing. And I sure hope it works because this is a hell of a lot of work. So the primary reason I used self-leveler over here, there were some valleys and it was relatively flat. So I mean, there is a general grade going that way. So yes, it did want to go that way, but I did lots of the spiked roller and kept it sort of moving and flat. So it actually is a little bit sloped. It's not perfectly flat. So it's actually ideal. I wanted sort of sloped that way, but flat. Fine. While that was happening, all this crap was on this side. So I had no idea what was going on over here. Once I got everything moved over and got the laser out, I realized big trouble. Of course, because nothing goes my way, right? So this corner, it's like 2 inches. It drops, it just dives right along the line of that mortar bed there. It just dives for the corner. So it's like, I'm not filling that with self-leveler. That stuff is like liquid gold. So I started looking for alternatives and I came up with sand topping mix. Why not? They use them at the base of showers, so why not? This is just going to be a floating floor. So what I've done is that is now level to where I use the self-leveler over here. If I put a straight edge over there, there's about 1/4 to 1/2 inch along here. Then I'm going to have to fill all that and put a thin layer over the sand mix, and then I'm going to try to meet it and feather it as best I can to that. Again, if I do it flat, I don't care if there's a minor hump, as long as it's flat. I think I'm going to get away with the click vinyl just sort of running along the curvature of my little creation. All along here is very, very subtle down towards that wall. And the entire length of this wall, from about here-ish, it just dives. It's about an inch, less than an inch. It's a 1/2 to 3/4 in the far corner. So that's not even perfectly level. It's closer to being level with the center of the room, but it's a slight downgrade. So it's going to also get a very thin coverage of self-leveler just to take any of the minor humps. Again, I'm just making it mostly flat, and there might be like a slight grade from about mid-room that way. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. A lot of different grades that don't match each other. We've got down towards that wall, somewhat down in this back cubby area towards that wall. But when I put my test vinyl down, it hugs the ground in any direction. So unconventional, I realize. I'm still not convinced I'm going to win this battle. And if I don't, it's back to a different kind of loose lay, because I know loose lay will work. But this is one scary mess right now. All the white is leftover thin set that I used to bond the sand mix to the floor. That's why that's white. This is just drying nicely. It's only 2 days old. And this is what I mean here. This on the left is all perfectly level. This on the right, where the end of the level is, all perfectly level. And then the self-leveler just sort of petered out and created a small sort of downgrade as it feathered itself out. So that will require filling from the sand mix bed, which is flat, perfectly flat over there like that. So self-leveler will go in here to fill all this, and then that just goes out, and you can see that the rest of that level is rested on perfectly flat self-leveler. So that is going to be just fine along this wall, and then the trick will be to get the self-leveler to just feather into the minor slope here, and it is very minor, and I got it to work rather well over here. And then my test sheet of vinyl just hug the I don't even call it, oh, it's a slope, but it's not an angle of any sort. There's no bumps or anything in the surface. So cautiously optimistic, but scared crapless. Primed, lasered, ready to go. We're not looking for perfection. As you'll notice that my notes on the floor do not have inches. They have generalizations like valley is here, high spot is, where did it go? High spot is here. We're looking for generally flat-ish. Perfection is not achievable in this room without going way too high. So, other side of the room, pretty good. This side of the room was scaring me, but now that I've filled in the really deep trough along the edge, the corner brought it up almost 2 inches, and then leveled it like it's almost perfect. It's really nice. The only thing is, it settled a little bit right on the edge. So there's like a 3/16, less than 3/16 if I put a straight edge across there. So today, when I get to this area, it's all just going to get the minimum coat for the corner, fill in this, and then it's going to feather into the high area at the back of the room. So most of this is going to be flat up until we get to about here. Is perfectly like level flat. And then we get a little weird in the corner here where it's going to come up a little bit, but it's going to be a very gentle slope to achieve that. So I'm hoping that the flex that I see in the vinyl plank is going to take that slope. There's a lot of maybes, a lot of ifs. There's a lot of caveats and conditions in this this endeavor because I'm just making it up as I go. This is not the way anybody has ever prescribed to fix a basement floor. You could also say I'm a trailblazer, a trendsetter, a renegade. Also possible labels for me. Idiot, moron, misguided. Only time will tell. It's go time. I'm a little bit nervous. This should be the final pour if there's no repairs to be done or any last minute grinding of ridges and whatnot. I've got my 3 buckets of water ready. I'm anticipating 3 to 4 bags. So I've got 3 here and a 4th already open over there. I've got it all planned out. I don't need a lot. I just need like an 1/8 to 3/16 over here. I've already filled in the valley on the right, so that was like 1 inch at its deepest. It's mostly level. There's a little section down the middle here. There's like 3/16, maybe 1/4 in places, but most of it tapers up to mostly flat. So there's not going to be a lot of concrete that needs to go in there. Couldn't be bothered moving that. We're going to go under it and hope for the best. And just knock the bricks out later and patch the hole. Right, so like 1 bucket should fill this area, 2nd bucket will get me down here somewhere, 3rd bucket, this needs just like 1/8 at most in some places. I mean, this is just being anal over here because this is pretty good. Over here we reach perfectly flat across here. There's a tiny little hump here, but it doesn't amount to much. Low spot here. And thinking maybe done. And we'll know tomorrow. But it's really hard to tell because with half the room full of crap, it's really hard to get a straight edge from one edge to the other. I was totally happy moving everything over there because I was happy in any direction. I didn't have much that was out. But now when I try to gap the two, it's hard to tell because my straight edge won't go into that edge. So it's very possible that I have a ridge in the middle or something. I don't think so, but I mean, the possibility is there. So we'll see. This is a common theme in things that I do where I cannot empty the room and I just have to keep shuffling crap around and working around it. It's a real pain. Don't do it this way. For the record, I like the other stuff I bought better. I like the Mapei versus the Laticrete. The Mapei turned out beautiful, like this, uniform color throughout. I used exactly the amount of water on the bag. I didn't try to make it soupier to make it flow. It was easy enough to work with. It's like everything, it hardens fast. But it was beautiful finish. But my experience with this is that it finishes like this. It comes up white. And well, some of it was white, some of it was gray. And for the most part, I used exactly off the water quantity off the bag. Today I added a tiny bit more. I splashed a bit in because it was a bit thick. But anyway, that's that. And you might think it looks like crap. And at first glance, you're probably right. However, if you know the backstory, this is actually not too bad. Because I knew, and as I sort of rambled on and mentioned earlier, there's high spots here, which I didn't expect any if maybe a tiny little bit of covering to make it there. Little low puddle at the top there. It sort of comes down a little bit here, but I knew over by the wall was almost exactly level. With the left side, it's just the middle is actually quite deep. It's probably up to half an inch in places. So the majority of the compound went down the center here, and the rest just feathered out. Down here we have actually quite a big, probably 1/2 to 3/4 at its deepest, right near the wall there, and then it just sort of feathers out to level over here. And now it doesn't look like it, but it does. I was down eye level. It now comes perfectly with this bit of sand mix that I brought up almost 2 inches in the corner. This whole area I used sand mix 4-to-1 mortar, just because it's $10 a bag and not $40 a bag. So a few bags of that, it brought the level way up, and now I just mirror coat the top with my Laticrete. Pretty happy with the way this went. It is messy with footprints everywhere, but guess what? Fluorine's going on top, so it doesn't matter. And I did find which fluorine I'm going to use. I found a 9-inch thick vinyl. Very nice pattern. It's going to warm this place up before. Before I had vinyl loose lay directly on the slab. It was hard as rock, very cold. And the moisture was getting through because there was no vapor barrier. And this stuff is going to be much thicker. And if there is any imperfections in the floor, they tell me this is the stuff. Although as the day goes by, I'm happier and happier with how level this is becoming. But it just looks like crap. Getting there. And I'm very happy to say at no point am I encountering any bounce or any noticeable ridges or gaps or anything that from the leveling of the floor. I don't want to say it too soon, but I think it's going to be perfect. But we'll see. The one thing that's annoying though is, riddle me this. All the planks have a perfectly straight edge, which connect to another tile that has a perfectly straight edge. And occasionally I'll get two that just won't go together and it looks like they're bowed. So do these come somehow out of spec, or is somehow my floor in one row become wavy? I don't get it, but sometimes they're just a bear to connect. Anyway, onwards.